Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis joins me now. Congresswoman, thank you for coming on. When you're dealing with these viruses, dangerous viruses, and you want the air system to be replaced and the flushing system to be replaced, it's a very bad sign. I was stunned when I read the report. But my question to you is, how do you compel China to cooperate? The Biden administration has failed. The World Health Organization has failed. What's next?
No. Well, Republicans in the subcommittee on COVID are going to continue to work with the Foreign Affairs Committee to expose what we can find that make the connection that this was a leak from the lab and that China is directly responsible. And what we do know is that this lab was genetically modifying coronaviruses, and they were doing it in subpar conditions. We also know in September of 2019, there were a number of scientists from that lab who fell ill with symptoms that would be symptoms similar to COVID. And we also know on or before September 2019 is when we assume this leak occurred, because on September 12th of 2019, that is when they pulled their viral sequence database off the website, and they had massive amounts of inspections taking place. And we also know that the Communist Chinese Liberation Army was playing a role here. They were brought in shortly thereafter, and they took hold of all the investigations taking place there. What we need to do as a nation is push our allies to work with us and push the World Health Organization to conduct a thorough investigation. When the White House offered scientists to help, they wanted to send, who only would allow Dr. Peter Daszak from EcoHealth, who also funneled, some funds from NIH through them to the Wuhan lab. So it's all very suspicious.
Right, and let me just stop you right there, because Peter Daszak is a name that keeps coming up in this report. He is the American scientist who wrote an open letter in 2020 saying that the lab leak in Wuhan, that theory is not effective. Well, turns out he had some ulterior motives, and your committee would like to hear from Mr. Daszak. How important is he as a witness?
Sure. Many of our members on the Republican side would like to see him subpoenaed and have him brought to testify before our committee. The question is, why will the Democrats not join us in getting answers to these questions? You know, 4 million people died worldwide, 600,000 here in the United States of America. What's also very suspicious and leads us to think there was a massive cover-up between WHO and CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, is that China has only reported 5,600 deaths. So think about that. And remember, the way we believe it escaped to other countries was through the military world games. That is when other countries like France started reporting people who were sick with COVID-like symptoms.
Yeah, and it's important also to note that you mentioned modifying coronaviruses. It's commonly referred to as gain of function. It means that they try and gin up the viruses, right? Make them more transmissible and more infectious so they can eventually cure them. But we have a pretty strong suspicion that gain of function was going on there, but we're having a very tough time getting information. And you have people now calling for China to really, imposing sanctions and what else. But it seems like all of these things are toothless, Congresswoman, to really get to the bottom of this.
Well, look, I think we've been making a significant amount of headway. Remember, last year at this time, there were so many denying that it even came from the lab. And now more and more evidence is piling up, suggesting that not only but that the Chinese military was actually involved, working also with the World Health Organization to cover it up. And that is where our ally nations, who also lost so many citizens in their own countries, must work with us to put pressure on China to get to the bottom of this. Yes, we do need sanctions. We do need individuals like Peter Daszak to come testify under oath, and that will help us get closer to the truth. The American people deserve the truth, as does everyone else in the world. Lastly,
I just want to ask you brought up a great point about the fact that a year ago everybody said, oh, it's phony, it's a conspiracy theory, the lab leak. You know, even big tech shut it down. They censored this information. Are you frustrated that because there was so much resistance on the left and big tech that we lost some valuable time in this research?
Yeah, it's absolutely frustrating, but we want to know why. Well, do the Democrats know something that we perhaps do not know that perhaps they know about this funding that went from U.S. tax dollars to the Wuhan lab? I mean, this is all questions that we're going to have, and we're going to continue to pursue it until we get the answers that the people deserve. And I think that we need to have accountability as well and make sure we do hold China accountable, not continue to reward them as we're seeing members of the Democrat Party do.
Tough to hold them accountable. Congresswoman Malliotakis, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
In case you missed it, the